The arrogant aliens at the intergalactic summit laughed in young Commander Daniel Baker's face as they mocked humanity's primitive spaceships, not knowing the humans had a massive secret fleet ready to make them regret every word. Daniel clenched his fists under the table, his uniform soaked with sweat as he struggled to keep his composure. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. One wrong move, and the technologically superior Crenum could decide to conquer the humans, enslaving the entire planet. Ambassador Talon, the Crenum delegate, smirked as he gestured to the holographic display of Earth's meager defenses. "As you can see," Talon said smugly, "the humans are hopelessly outmatched. Their ships are cheap toys compared to our mighty armada." The other aliens guffawed and nodded in agreement as Daniel's face burned with humiliation. He wanted to scream that they were wrong, that humanity was stronger than they could imagine. But he bit his tongue. Everything depended on secrecy now. After the disastrous summit, Daniel met privately with Earth's leaders, who were ashen-faced with worry. "The Crenum could attack at any time and we'd be wiped out in days," General Vogel said grimly. "Our only chance is the ultimatum project." Daniel nodded somberly. He was one of the few who knew Earth's greatest secret. For decades, humanity had been constructing a massive fleet of highly advanced warships, hidden in the far reaches of the solar system. Reverse-engineered from alien tech and crewed by the best of the best, it was humanity's ace in the hole. The only problem was it wasn't ready yet. They needed more time. "Baker, you know what's at stake," the general said. "You need to return to the Crenum and stall them. Lie, bargain, beg if you have to. But don't let them find out what we're building." Daniel saluted. "Yes, sir, I won't let you down." With his new mission, Daniel prepared to travel back into the lion's den. As his ship hurtled through space towards the Crenum Empire, Daniel went over every negotiating tactic he knew. Tricking Talon would be like playing chess with the devil. One slip up, and billions of human lives would pay the price. Earth's survival depended on Daniel outwitting a vastly superior alien enemy. The clandestine game of cat and mouse was about to begin again, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Daniel took a deep breath and straightened his uniform. It was time to save humanity. Daniel's ship entered orbit around the Crenum homeworld, a planet of towering spires and gleaming cities. As he prepared to disembark, Daniel tugged at his collar, the fabric suddenly feeling too tight. The weight of his mission pressed down on him like a physical force. The shuttle touched down on a sprawling landing pad, and Daniel stepped out into the harsh alien sunlight. A contingent of Crenum guards, their armor polished to a mirror sheen, escorted him into the heart of the capital. Daniel was led into a cavernous chamber where the Crenum High Council awaited. Ambassador Talon sat at the center of a long table, his eyes glinting with cunning. Daniel forced a smile and bowed deeply. "Ambassador Talon, esteemed counselors, thank you for receiving me," Daniel said, laying on the charm. "I come bearing a proposal that could reshape our civilization's relationship." Talon leaned forward, his long fingers steepled. "Is that so? And what, pray tell, do the humans offer?" Daniel paused for effect, then spoke. "As we speak, human scientists are perfecting a revolutionary propulsion technology. Faster, more efficient, and far beyond anything either of our species currently possess." Murmurs rippled through the council. Talon's brow furrowed. "Bold claims, Commander. But why share this with us?" "Because we seek a new era of cooperation," Daniel said smoothly. "Imagine the potential if we combine human innovation with Crenum resources. Together, we could usher in a golden age of progress and prosperity." Talon's eyes narrowed. "An enticing offer, but I'm sure you understand our skepticism. We will need proof of this technology before entertaining any agreements." Daniel took a deep breath. This was the critical moment. "Of course, Ambassador. As a show of good faith, I can share that a prototype engine is undergoing final testing at a secure facility on Earth's moon. You have my word." Talon stood abruptly. "Words are wind, Commander. The Crenum will send a delegation to inspect this facility ourselves. Only then can we discuss this further." Daniel hesitated, feigning reluctance. I suppose that can be arranged, but I must consult with my superiors first. See that you do, Talon said coldly. We will await your response. As the meeting adjourned, Daniel's mind raced. He needed to buy more time. Ducking into an alcove, he opened a secure channel to Earth and relayed urgent instructions. The fate of humanity hung on this gambit. In the following days, Daniel stalled the Krenim with a flurry of bureaucratic maneuvering and legal wrangling, but Talon grew more impatient by the hour. Unbeknownst to Daniel, Talon had dispatched a swarm of stealth probes to Earth space, determined to uncover the humans' treachery. The probes slipped past Earth's defenses and made a startling discovery: surging energy signatures in the outer reaches of the solar system, signs of something vast and powerful lurking in the darkness. Talon stormed into Daniel's quarters, face twisted with rage. He slammed a data pad on the table, displaying the damning readings. You dare deceive the Krenim? Talon snarled. Did you think your pitiful tricks could blind us forever? Daniel's blood ran cold. The map of his fleet's location glowed on the screen like a death warrant. There was no point in pretending anymore. Daniel stood tall and looked Talon square in the eye. The people of Earth are not to be underestimated, Ambassador. If you threaten us, we will respond with overwhelming force. Talon scoffed. Bold words from a cornered liar. You humans need to learn your place. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the city. A panicked aide rushed in, shouting, Ambassador, a Krenim warship has engaged the humans. They've destroyed several of their vessels. Daniel's heart dropped. The fragile peace had shattered, but he still had one final card to play. With a grim smile, Daniel activated his communicator and uttered a single command. Ultimatum. High above Earth, space twisted and warped as a fleet of sleek human warships shimmered into view. The ultimatum fleet had arrived, and the Krenim ship found itself utterly outmatched. Within moments, the human vessels had the Krenim warships surrounded, weapons locked and ready. On the Krenim homeworld, Talon watched the scene unfold in disbelief. Daniel's voice cut through the stunned silence. Ambassador, I suggest you order your ships to stand down immediately. The ultimatum fleet is more than capable of defeating any force you send against us. But we seek peace, not war. Withdraw from Earth space and honor our borders, and we can still commitment this without further bloodshed. Talon's face twisted with rage and humiliation, but he knew Daniel was right. Engaging the human fleet now would be suicide. With a snarl, Talon gave the order to retreat. In the tense negotiations that followed, Daniel and the Krenim leadership hammered out an uneasy ceasefire. The immediate crisis had been averted, but the scars ran deep, and both sides now understood the new reality. As Daniel boarded his ship to return home, the hero who had bluffed the Krenim and saved Earth, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Krenim would not forget this humiliation, and they would be back, stronger than ever. The galaxy had changed forever, and a daunting future awaited the people of Earth. But for now, there was hope, and a chance to prepare for the challenges ahead. And next time, Daniel swore, humanity would be ready. Daniel Baker stood in the cavernous hangar of Earth's secret shipyard, watching as welding sparks cascaded from the hull of the newest Ultimatum-class warship. The acrid smell of ozone and hot metal filled the air. All around him, crews swarmed over half-finished vessels, installing weapon systems and laying power conduits. How many ships are we up to now? Daniel asked the project manager beside him. 312, sir, with another 50 slated for completion by month's end. Daniel nodded, allowing himself a small smile. The fleet was growing faster than he dared hope, but it still might not be enough. Back on Earth, the gears of war preparation ground on relentlessly. In New Beijing, fresh-faced recruits marched in formation, their boots pounding the pavement in perfect unison. Drill sergeants barked orders as the conscripts ran obstacle courses, fired plasma rifles, and learned the intricacies of zero-G combat. Factories that once churned out consumer goods now produced munitions and starfighter components around the clock. The air rang with the clanging of machinery and hiss of assembly lines. Meanwhile, on the Krenim homeworld, Ambassador Talon paced before the High Council, his face contorted with rage. "The humans made fools of us," he snarled. "We cannot let this insult stand." The councilors shifted uneasily in their seats. "Perhaps," said one, "but open warfare could prove catastrophic. We must proceed with caution." Talon's eyes narrowed. "Then let us strike from the shadows. I have a plan." Weeks later, in a secret Krenim facility, operatives uploaded viruses to quantum data drives. Sleeper agents received their final briefings before departing for human space. The covert assault was underway. At first, the sabotage was subtle. A weapons shipment arrived with faulty triggers. A communications array suffered unexplained outages. But soon the incidents mounted. Entire production lines ground to a halt. Newly launched ships experienced cascading system failures. Daniel frowned at the latest status report. Something was very wrong. "Sir," said his aide, "intelligence has uncovered evidence of Krenim infiltration. It's worse than we feared." Daniel's face hardened. There was only one option left. "Get me Sarah Collins," he ordered. "It's time to take the fight to them." Sarah led her team through the neon-lit streets of the Krenim capital, their features masked by hollow disguises. Months of careful planning had led to this moment. They split up, each operative with their own target. Sarah herself headed for the central data hub. As she worked to bypass the security systems, alarms suddenly blared. She cursed, fingers flying over the console. Across the city, explosions rocked Krenim military installations. Classified data streamed to waiting human ships. The Krenim spy network unraveled as its agents were quietly eliminated. The operation extracted a heavy toll. Sarah lost 2 of her best people. But the mission was a resounding success. Krenim efforts against Earth lay in ruins. With production back in full swing, humanity's military might swelled. New warships jam-packed with weaponry took up defensive positions around Earth and its colonies. Gleaming defense platforms were brought online, their energy weapons pulsing with latent power. Daniel knew it was time. He opened a channel to Krenim High Command. "This is Commander Daniel Baker of Earth," he said, his voice steady. "You have 24 hours to withdraw all covert operatives from human space and agree to a lasting peace. Refuse, and we will have no choice but to declare total war. The choice is yours." On the Krenim homeworld, the High Council convened an emergency session. The fate of 2 civilizations hung in the balance. The air in the negotiation chamber crackled with tension. Daniel Baker sat across from Ambassador Talon, their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. Earth's leaders flanked Daniel, their faces grim. The Krenim High Council loomed behind Talon, mandibles clicking in irritation. Daniel leaned forward, his voice steady. "Ambassador, I'll say it one last time. Withdraw your operatives and agree to peace or face the consequences." Talon's multifaceted eyes glittered with disdain. "Empty threats from a primitive species. The Krenim Empire has conquered galaxies while your kind still crawled in the mud. We will not be cowed by upstart apes." The talks deteriorated rapidly after that. Insults flew. Fists pounded tables. As the Earth delegation stormed out, alarms blared throughout the complex. "Sir!" An aide rushed to Daniel's side. "A Krenim warship just entered the system. They're on an attack vector." Daniel's face hardened. "So be it. Mobilize the ultimatum fleet." On the bridge of his flagship, Talon watched the lone human vessel with amusement. "Look at them posture, as if that tin can could stand against us." His laughter died as sensors lit up. Space rippled and tore. Hundreds of sleek human warships materialized, weapons trained on the Krenim intruder. Daniel's face filled the view screen. "Still think we're bluffing, Ambassador?" For once, Talon was speechless. He stared at the sea of hostile ships surrounding his lone cruiser. With a snarl of defeat, he barked the order to stand down. In the months that followed, Both sides mouthed platitudes about peace while frantically preparing for war. Shipyards worked overtime. Troops drilled endlessly. The galaxy held its breath. The Krenim struck without warning. Stealth ships decloaked around Earth's colonies. Energy weapons carving bloody swaths through orbital defenses. Daniel scrambled to respond, marshalling the ultimatum fleet for a massive counterattack. What followed was carnage on a galactic scale. Human and Krenim ships clashed across a dozen systems. Beams of coherent light lanced between vessels. Missiles streaked across the void. Hulls crumpled under the awesome forces unleashed. For days, the two armadas battered each other, neither side able to land a killing blow. The death toll mounted. Fleets were decimated only to be replaced by fresh reinforcements. In his command center, Talon raged at his officers. "Enough! We end this now. Set course for Earth. We'll cut the head off the snake." "But sir," his second-in-command protested, "our intelligence suggests—" "I don't care what your cowardly reports say," Talon bellowed. "Earth dies today." As the Krenim Armada entered Earth's orbit, they found it suspiciously quiet. Then hell erupted around them. Concealed bases on the moon sprang to life, railguns spitting hypervelocity rounds. Orbital platforms decloaked, energy weapons slicing through Krenim hulls. And from behind Earth's Terminator, Daniel led a massive fighter assault that caught the invaders in a devastating crossfire. Talon watched in horror as his mighty fleet disintegrated around him. Warning klaxons blared as his flagship took hit after punishing hit. "All ships retreat!" he cried. "Fall back to—" His words were cut off as Daniel's face appeared on every Krenim view screen. Behind the human stood a group of captured Krenim officers, weapons pressed to their heads. "It's over, Talon," Daniel said coldly. "Surrender now, or watch your people die." Talon's mandibles worked soundlessly as he stared at the feed. For the first time in his life, the arrogant Krenim knew true fear. Daniel Baker stood on the bridge of the Exodus cannon, his face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. The massive ship dwarfed even the largest vessels of the ultimatum fleet. Its gleaming hull stretched for kilometers, housing the most devastating weapon ever created by human hands. "Sir, all systems are operational," reported the weapons officer. "The Exodus cannon is primed and ready." Daniel nodded, his lips pursed. "Target the Krenim homeworld." The crew worked in tense silence, inputting coordinates and running final checks. Daniel stared out the view screen at the blue-green orb of the Krenim capital. Billions of lives hung in the balance. "Broadcast on all Krenim frequencies," Daniel ordered. The communications officer complied, and Daniel's face appeared on screens across the Krenim world. His eyes were hard, his voice cold. "People of the Krenim Empire, your forces have been defeated. Your military lies in ruins, and now you face extinction." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "Unless you surrender immediately and agree to a permanent peace, your entire civilization will cease to exist. To demonstrate our drive—" Daniel nodded to the weapons officer. The man's finger hovered over the firing control for a moment before pressing down. The Exodus cannon hummed to life. Energy crackled along its length, building to a crescendo. Then, with a blinding flash, a beam of pure destruction lanced out. It struck the planet's atmosphere, sending shockwaves rippling across the surface. The ground shook. Buildings swayed. For a terrifying moment, it seemed as if the world itself might split apart. Then, as quickly as it began, the demonstration ended. The beam dissipated, leaving only a stunned silence in its wake. "That was only a fraction of this weapon's power," Daniel continued. "You have 1 hour to comply, or we will fire again, and next time we won't stop." He cut the transmission. The bridge was deathly quiet as they waited for a response. 58 minutes later, it came. A trembling Krenim official appeared on screen. We surrender," he stammered. "Please spare our world." One by one, Krenim ships across the galaxy powered down their weapons and engines. The mighty empire crumbled in less than an hour. In the days that followed, Daniel oversaw the dismantling of the Krenim war machine. Warships were scrapped, weapons destroyed. A permanent human presence was established on the outskirts of Krenim space, a constant reminder of their defeat. On the final day of the war, Daniel stood before a panel of judges. Ambassador Talon, once proud and defiant, now sat in chains. His multifaceted eyes darted nervously as the charges were read. Ambassador Talon, you stand accused of crimes against humanity, including the unprovoked attack on human colonies, resulting in millions of civilian deaths. How do you plead? Talon's mandibles clicked weakly. Not guilty. I was following orders. A commotion erupted in the courtroom as a woman pushed her way to the front. It was Sarah Collins, her face contorted with rage. Liar! She screamed. I watched you give the order to bombard my home. My family died because of you. The judges called for order, but the damage was done. Talon slumped in his seat, defeated. The trial was swift, the verdict unanimous. As the death sentence was passed, Sarah's eyes bored into Talon, years of pain and anger finding their release. Later, Daniel stood with his officers gazing out at the stars. Earth's flag now flew over a vast swath of the galaxy. They had won, but at what cost? Sir, one of the younger officers asked, what now? Daniel didn't answer immediately. He thought of the Exodus canon, of the lines they'd crossed to achieve victory, of the darkness that lurked within the human heart. Now, he said softly, we face our greatest challenge yet, learning to live with the power we've claimed. The officers nodded solemnly, the weight of their new responsibility settling on their shoulders. As Earth celebrated its newfound dominance, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that the true test of humanity was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.